Yeah, good morning, good morning, good morning. It's been long I posted, it's been very long. I think that was since last year. Yeah, the market has not been doing very well since the last time I posted. So, um, I have a few updates to make. This video might be a little bit long because I have so many things to say about the movements the markets have made so far since October last year. I took certain trades last year. And I trade on the higher time frame. I don't trade on the lower time frame. I use the higher time frame as my point of direction to trade, and but I use the lower time frame for entries and all that. Of course, I use the higher time frame for exits. So in around October, that should be October 19, 2023. Between October 19 to October 21st, 2023, this was the movement of FTM. This is FTM Phantom on Binance using TradingView. So there are two main strategies I use, two main entry strategies I use, and that is deviation, the deviation strategy, and then the counter trend line break strategy. So as you can see, when the market was going down, when it was going down from here, I waited. Of course, I only trade on the major zones of support or major zones of resistance. That is why I took a trade from down here, from up here to down here in 2023. That was in July 2023. I think I updated it here too. Then I waited. There was no break of counter trend line. There was no convincing break of counter trend line. And how do I draw my counter trend line? I make sure I connect 2 points. One, two. I make sure I connect 2 points. As you can see, the market came and respected the trend line at this level again. The market respected the trend line at this level again and pulled down. Since then, we have been waiting. I waited for so many weeks. And then when it deviated, this is called a deviation. This is called a deviation. Let me get my drawing tool. It's called a deviation. It's called a deviation. This is called a deviation. Deviation is like a deviation is like a market manipulation. So when it happened, I waited, and then it came above here. Of course, I entered this market and then took a loss. I'll not lie. I entered there because I thought the deviation has happened. I entered here, took my take profit target to this zone, and then my stop loss was around here. So it came, took it off, and then of course I waited. Losses is part of the game. If you don't accept losses, then you have not started. So what did I do? I put a counter trend line here and waited again for it to break above this zone. So when it broke above this zone, I took an entry at this level. With a 4-hour candle close at this level, I took an entry. My take profit target was here, and then I sat on my hands and waited. My stop loss target was around, it was not around this one because I entered using a 4-hour candle time frame. It was around it. So I waited for this. I entered both spot and futures, and then I took the trade. Waited for so many days from 22nd October till around 14th November. So more than a month, or less than a month, a little less than a month. I waited, took this trade, took my profit at this level. Such a smooth ride. Now, once it broke above here, I knew that we have entered another trend. We have entered a good uptrend. You understand? So it broke above here. As you can see, let me remove this. As you can see, I drew a counter trend line here. I drew a counter trend line at this level. When it broke above, let me put the 4-hour time frame. I put a counter trend line at this level. Of course, we should wait for two touch points. I waited for these two touch points. touched it. I was waiting for it to break above this level so that I can enter the trade. It did not. It broke above here, then came back down. Of course, if I had entered this trade, I would have been in profit, because I will probably enter here. But I didn't do it. I didn't. I waited. I wanted it to come above. I wanted it to come above this level. You understand? I waited. If I had entered this trade, and of course I take a loss, I might take a loss for another. But I didn't enter because it has to clear a particular zone. Sorry for the noise. Some people are playing football just outside there. So I waited. So once I waited for it, it consolidated, then came above here. What did I do? I picked my counter trend line and my trend line, and then notice that it's making a higher low. They are making higher lows, higher lows, higher lows. So it came above here, and this is where I took my trade once it closed with a 4-hour candle above this level. And this was my target. This trade took several days. It took several days. But one thing with higher time frame trades is that it is very sure most times. It's very sure. It's sure. So this was where I put my stop loss targets. Of course, I think I've forgotten, but I know it was not this large. It was around here. It was around here somewhere. So I took a 7 to 1 risk to reward, but I traded this on spot. I didn't trade it on futures. So it came here. There's something I want to teach you guys about when to know that the trade maybe the trade is ready to reverse. When it was trending up, I took my counter trend line. I drew this counter trend line from the base. Sorry, I took this counter trend line from the base, drew this counter trend line to this point. Of course, either you do it this way or you pick the closest 2 points, and these are the closest 2 points. That is what I do sometimes if the counter trend line is not looking as neat as I want it to. I took this counter trend line, joined it with this place, and this was when it broke below here. I knew the market is about to go down. You understand? This is how I enter, but I didn't short it. This is how I enter trades. Counter trend line breaks or deviations. Simple. At major zones. Of course, we are in a major zone, as you can see. We are in a major zone at this level. As you can see, I mark my major zones using green lines, and I mark my mid ranges using yellow lines sometimes. So when it was going down and it was going down, when it broke this counter trend line, going down and up, I was not afraid. Of course, I put my first level target at this green zone, this green bar here. That's where I put my first level target. But it's at the mid range of this movement of this range. It's at the mid range. I take my first level target there. So now what will you do if you want to enter earlier in this kind of trade? This is if you are to enter this kind of trade now, the stop loss will be very wide, and then your first level target will be very close. Let's say you put your stop loss here, the entry was here, and then first level target is here. It's just a 0 to 8.1 risk to reward, which is not very great. And then if you waited to just be 2.2. But what will you do if you want to enter this trade early enough, this kind of short trades now? What will you do? You enter, you draw a second trend line somewhere here, point it here, find two possible points, draw a second trend line somewhere here. Draw a second trend line somewhere here. You understand what I'm saying? Draw a second trend line. Find two swing lows that can join together. And as you can see, it got respected. It was respected very well. So let's say this is where you wanted to enter from. But let me tell you also, of course, it's not very encouraging to short in an uptrend. It's not a very good trade to it's not a very good thing to do. Shorting in an uptrend is very bad. It is very, very, very bad. Shorting in an uptrend is a very bad trading strategy. So let's say you got a closer entry, your risk to reward will be much better, because at this point, break, retest, let's say you entered at this retest, even if you entered at just the break, you still have a very good risk to reward. So I don't really try to put my stop loss very far off, because once it plays a counter trend line, I'm sure it's going down most times. You understand? Not every time, but most times. So now look at how this first level target is already at 1.7.8, and then second level target you have almost 3.5. You understand? See the counter trend line trading strategy. So it broke this level and then retested and then went straight down. Counter trend line, the king. Counter trend line, the king. Of course, using higher time frame as a projection. So it went down straight here. This is from FTM only. I will do for others in other videos. It went down. As long as it's going down, you will not take any other action. You won't take any other action. It will just leave it to go down. Leave it to go down. Once it gets to this point, now you get your counter trend line and then look for the most possible two touches. Some people draw from up here to down here. You understand? So even if you draw it this way, you are still good. You understand? So when it broke out of here, me as a major zone trader, I trade only at the major zones. I will not take this trade because I know it's fake. Even if it's go down, it goes up here, I won't take it. I will leave it. You understand? But what I will do is, as it's doing this thing, well, the only time I draw my counter trend line is when it's at the bottom, the way like where I'm waiting for it to come to. That is the only time I draw the trend line. And then to get a better risk reward, I draw the let me remove all this. I draw the most possible 2 points. I hope you understand them. And what are the most possible 2 points before the support? Here and here. So it's I waited for it to break above this counter trend line. You understand? This is where I took my trade. Of course, I have reached the first level target already. My first level target is at the mid range. I usually put it at the mid range or at the 50% retracement. Of course, the 50% retracement level, which is here, is equally at the mid range. So my first level target just got hit. I believe it has gotten hit on my Binance account, of course. So forget about this. Of course, this is sort of a second entry for people that missed this first entry. Of course, as long as it has reached this bottom and broken this trend line, I know the next level target will be at this mid range, and then the highest target will be at this range high, which is the major zone of resistance. Now I entered this trade on my spot account. This is 2%, and then my first level target is at 25, 26%, which must have already gotten hit. You understand? So this is a very simple strategy, counter trend line strategy. Counter trend line strategy. Of course, there is a deviation here that you can equally respect. There is a deviation here that you can equally respect. You understand? There is a deviation here that can be equally respected, which is here. So what I do most times is once there is a deviation and then the market comes back into the range, I take an entry. I don't wait for counter trend line to break again. Because 9 out of 10 times after a deviation, which is a market manipulation, the market changes in trend. You understand? So this is my simple strategy for FTM, and I'm waiting for it. I've taken my first level target. I believe it must have gotten hit by now. Then my second level target will be, let me not be too over here. Like my second level target will be here. This is a 56% move. This is a crazy move in less than a month. So the reason I put this thing here is this is another range. This is a 184% range. If you go to the high time frame, you see that it's a new range. I trade range by range. This is a new range, and this is the first level target at this greenback. So this is the technical analysis for FTM. This is like, as you can see, it's a very massive W pattern, very massive W pattern, very massive W pattern, and the very major target is at 1.6. But for now, we are trading it level by level. Thank you very much. And make sure you watch this into the end because I'll be posting it on my YouTube channel now. And please do me a favor to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm just starting out, but believe me, you will get so many great content from me. Believe me.